You ever stop and think about the rules that run your life? The ones you don't even notice? We're all so caught up in our modern world, we forget it's all built on a foundation that's thousands of years old. Today, we're going to dig up some of those hidden connections.
So let me just throw a few quick questions at you. First off, why are there 60 seconds in a minute? Not 50, not 100. Where on earth did 60 come from?
And hey, while we're talking about time, what about the 7-day week? It seems kind of random, but it's a rhythm the entire planet basically marches to. Why 7?
And one more for you. A circle. Why is it 360 degrees? It feels so arbitrary, right? But just like the other questions, the answer isn't in some modern textbook. Nope, it's way back in the ancient world. So let's take a trip back in time to Western Asia and find out where all this stuff came from.
Okay, let's dive right in. Our story kicks off around 3000 BC in that super fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This was home to a seriously incredible group of people called the Sumerians. We're talking some of the world's very first city builders and innovators.
So to manage their brand new, complex society, the Sumerians had to keep records of, well, everything. So they developed one of the first ever writing systems. And as you can see here, it started out pretty simple. Just little pictures of stuff like a foot or a donkey or some grain drawn right onto soft clay.
But, drawing little pictures all day is slow. So they streamlined the whole thing. They simplified the pictures into a system of wedge-shaped marks. We call it cuneiform. This was a massive leap forward. Suddenly you could write way faster just by pressing a reed into clay.
And here's what that genius idea looks like in practice. This tablet is basically an invoice, a business account from almost 5,000 years ago. And because it's clay, it's unbelievably tough. Once these things dry, they could, and obviously did, last for thousands of years.
Okay, so here is the absolute key. When it came to numbers, the Sumerians did something totally different. We use a base 10 system, probably because we have 10 fingers. But the Sumerians, they used a base 60 system. Now, why 60? Well, it's a fantastic number for doing math. You can divide it cleanly by all sorts of smaller numbers, which makes calculations for trade or astronomy so much easier.
And this is where it all snaps together. Remember those questions from the beginning? That base 60 system is exactly why we have a 60-second minute and a 60-minute hour. The 360 degrees in a circle, that's just 6 times 60. Later on, folks like the Babylonians built on this, giving us the 12 signs of the zodiac and that 7-day week, naming each day after one of the 7 celestial bodies they could see in the sky: the sun, the moon, and 5 planets.
Now, ideas this powerful don't just stay in one place. They got picked up, tweaked, and spread around by these massive empires that rose and fell in the area, and each one of them left their own unique stamp on history. First up, you had the Assyrians. And these guys, they built their entire empire on pure, brutal military force. They were ruthless, they were efficient, and they were the first major army to be fully kitted out with scary new weapons made of iron. But the Persian Empire, which eventually took over the whole region, played a totally different game. Instead of just ruling through fear, they were all about organization. Their great king Darius sliced up his giant empire into 20 provinces, called satrapies, and then built roads and a postal service to tie it all together. It was a more just, more stable way of governing than anything the world had ever seen.
The Persians' influence didn't stop at government, though. They also gave us a revolutionary new way to think about morality. Their prophet, a guy named Zoroaster, taught that the whole universe was basically a battlefield for a huge cosmic struggle between a god of good and light and this powerful spirit of evil and darkness.
Does that framework sound a little familiar? It should. Zoroastrianism brought in these concepts that would become hugely important in later religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The idea of a great evil spirit, basically a Satan figure, and the belief that every single person would face a final judgment, these were radical new ideas that completely changed the moral landscape.
Now, living inside this Persian Empire was another small but unbelievably influential group, the Hebrews. Their world-changing idea was monotheism, the belief in one single, all-powerful God who created the entire universe.
But as we dig into their story, this really fascinating little question of language and history pops up. The name of the Hebrew God is obviously central to their faith. But how did they actually say it?
And check this out. This is a really interesting little tidbit from our source material. The common pronunciation, Jehovah, is actually incorrect. It's a pretty recent mistake, less than 600 years old, that came from a misunderstanding of the original Hebrew text.
The historically accurate pronunciation, the one used by the ancient Hebrews themselves, was Yahweh. It seems like a small detail, but it's a great reminder of how history and language can get twisted over time.
So as we pull all these different threads together, you start to see it, right? From math and how we tell time, to government and even religion, these ancient civilizations in Western Asia left us this incredible inheritance that's just invisibly woven into the fabric of our everyday modern lives.
I mean, the list of things they gave us is just staggering. The wheel, the alphabet, the calendar, large-scale government, monotheism, you name it. So the next time you check your watch, look at a calendar, or even just think about the struggle between good and evil, you are, in a very real way, echoing these ideas born thousands and thousands of years ago.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Our world is just filled with these ghosts from the past, ancient systems and ideas that still guide our hands and shape our thoughts every single day. What other parts of our lives are we just taking for granted that have their roots buried deep in the ancient world?